Hey everybody, just give me a second here so I make sure everything's set up and rolling okay. If you can hear me, just type in yes. Alrighty. Hey everybody, John here. I offer solutions real estate services, and today we're going to talk about how you can get into home ownership. And the main thing we're going to discuss is this question that keeps popping up is people are asking me, like, I've been turned down for a mortgage at the bank, so can I still get into a home today? You know what? Before we get into that, listen, if whether you're just watching me, just tuning in now, or you've heard some of my other content, regardless, if you're serious about getting into a home today and you've already been turned down from the bank for a traditional mortgage, then you might want to take a look at my book, How to Buy a Home for $100 Down, Even When the Bank Says No. If you're interested, just head over to buyfor100down.com and grab yourself a copy. Again, that's buyfor100down.com. And grab yourself a copy of the book. And it's if you want to get into home ownership today and the bank has turned you down. All right. So let's see. Let's get rolling here. So when it comes to getting into home ownership, we all know that if you don't have cash right now, like the cash to buy the house outright, you actually are going to have to qualify for a mortgage with the bank. But a huge question that keeps popping up, and what holds a lot of people back from getting into a home today, is if the bank has turned them down from a mortgage, what options do they have? And you know what? That's really a fair question, because most people don't think they have any options when it comes to getting into a home once they've been turned down, or they have to wait a long time. They have to do a lot of things, but they just don't think there's any option to getting into that home today. And I get it, because people are worried about house prices skyrocketing, and by the time they can qualify, they're not going to be able to get into a home. Maybe they think they're just going to pay rent forever. They don't know how to fix the problems in their credit, or whatever the problem is that keeps them from qualifying. It all makes sense. But here's the thing. In order to get into a house today and have the time to qualify for the bank mortgage in the future while you're actually living in the house, you need to go directly to the homeowner who owns the home and get them to make a deal with you to let you into the house today and buy it and rent it and buy it in the future. This is commonly known as rent to own. And when it comes to actually getting a homeowner to turn their home into a rent to own, there's 3 key steps that you need to actually make this happen. Okay. The first step is you actually need to attract homeowners who are willing to turn their home into a rent to own. Now, a lot of times you do that by posting ads on Kijiji or Craigslist or Facebook. Maybe you're going to do some bandit signs in the neighborhoods, looking for homeowners willing to rent to own their home. Maybe you're going to cold call people who have homes for sale by owner or for rent, or maybe you're just going to go knocking on doors. Whatever your strategy is, you have to attract the homeowner who has the house and is willing to let you rent to own it from them. Now, the second thing is you need to negotiate with the owner to get a fair price and terms for the rent to own. Now, you need to come to some sort of agreement on 5 specific things when it comes to negotiating on a rent to own. The first thing is the monthly payment. The second is the end sale price. A third is the length of term of the rent to own. The fourth is how much of a down payment you're going to give the homeowner when you sign contracts up front. And the fifth thing you negotiate on is what the repair and maintenance amount will be. So you'll be responsible for repairs and maintenance up to a certain dollar value, and the homeowner will be responsible for after that. So what is that dollar value, and what's that number going to be? And the third key thing is you need to sign rent-to-own specific contracts with the homeowner. Now, in this, there's actually 3 separate contracts, 3 separate agreements. Don't be putting it all on one agreement, because that'll never hold up in court. You won't be able to protect yourself. You need 3 specific contracts. The first one is a lease agreement. And you can just use a lease agreement from your typical resident tenancy board in your province. The second contract is a purchase contract, like the ones they would use for buying and realtors use for buying and selling houses. And the third contract is the most important and the most powerful, and that's the option contract. You definitely want to make sure you have all three of those, and like I said, don't have them all on one document. They have to be three separate documents. So make sure you contact a lawyer that specializes in rent-own, or contact a rent-own specialist themselves who does this on a regular basis. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit of story that actually relates to that in a second. But if you're just joining me, I wrote a book called How to Buy a House for $100 Down, Even When the Bank Says No. So if you're serious about getting into a home today and you want the time to qualify for a mortgage in the future, and you actually have the income to actually support a mortgage, then head over to buyfor100down.com. That's buyfor100down.com, and grab yourself a copy of that book. So if anyone watching this, if you could actually just type that URL in the comments, that would be great and be a lot easier for everybody. It was buyfor100down.com. Again, it's greatly appreciated. So back to my story, or the story I was going to tell you. A few months ago, one of my cousins called up. He knows I've been doing real estate since 2009. And he was looking to buy a building that had a business in it, but he wanted the whole building. His name is John. John as well, by the way. John, he has a good job. He's working quite a long time in the oil sands, makes good money. He had the down payment that you would typically need to have to buy a home. He has good credit, but he went to the bank and they turned him down from getting the mortgage. Now remember, I said people can get turned down for lots of different reasons. His was that the building that he wanted to buy, the bank just wanted a larger down payment. Now, it doesn't really matter what the reason is, because everybody has a different reason why the bank says no. But bottom line is the bank says no to him buying the building. So he called me up looking for some advice. And, as most people are when they're trying to buy a home, he felt dejected, deflated, because he got turned down and he wasn't sure what to do. He knew it was going to take him another 2 to 3 years to save up the amount of money, extra money for the down payment that they needed. And he knew for a fact that this building would be long sold since then. So he was going to miss out. So then I asked him, well, have you gone and talked to the owner directly? Forget about the realtors, forget about the bank, just go and talk to the owner and ask the owner if they'd be willing to let you rent their building for, say, 3 years and then buy it at the end of the 3 years, giving you the time you need to save up the extra down payment that you'll need in order to qualify for the traditional mortgage. So he did. He tracked down the owner, contacted him, said, hey, listen, I want to buy your building. The bank says I need more down. Here's my situation. I'd like to rent your building for 3 years and then buy it. So they entered into some negotiations. He negotiated on the 5 key points as what that was going to look like and what the numbers were going to be, and they came to an agreement. And he went to his lawyer and they put together all the contracts. So for John, just like anybody else that gets turned down when they're going to the bank to get a mortgage, regardless of the reason, he thought that he had no other option, just like a lot of people think they don't have any other option when the bank says no. But in reality, what they don't realize is they can go directly to the homeowner and talk to the homeowner and get them to turn it into a rent-to-own. So you can get into the home today, giving you that time you need to fix whatever the situation is, so that by the end of the rent-to-own term, you can qualify for a traditional mortgage with the bank. Bank says yes, and at that point in time, you buy the home from the homeowner. Okay, so before I forget, if you're serious about getting into a home and you just don't qualify today, the bank's turned you down. Like I said, I wrote this book, How to Buy a Home for $100 Down, even if the bank says no. Head over to buyfor100down.com, where I share the same strategy that I use to get homes from homeowners, specifically for rent-to-own. So again, that was buyfor100down.com. Head over there, pick up a copy of the book. Definitely help you out. All right, so to summarize, if you want to get into a home today and the bank has turned you down from getting a mortgage, here's the 3 key steps to getting a homeowner to turn their home into a rent-own. So these 3 steps will actually help you get the homeowner to turn their home into a rent-own. The first thing, again, is you need to attract the homeowner who's willing to actually do that. And again, Kijiji, Craigslist, Facebook ads, bandit signs, cold calling, for sale by homeowners, for rent, or knocking on doors, whatever. You just need to find the homeowner who's willing to actually rent you their house for 2 to 3 years and then sell it. The second thing is you need to negotiate with the homeowner to get a fair price and some fair terms for the rent own. So there's 5 things you need to negotiate on: monthly payment, end sale price, length of term, down payment, and the repair and maintenance amount. And thirdly, you need to sign rent-own contracts with the homeowner, specialized rent-own contracts. Remember, you need to have 3 separate agreements: a lease, a purchase contract, and an option contract. You need all 3 for it to be a valid and to protect yourself in a rent-own. So make sure you have all 3. So once again, summarize, part of getting into home ownership when the bank has turned you down. If you know anything about rent-own, it's like those 3 things. I'll just say those 3 things over and over: attract the homeowner, negotiate a fair price and terms, and get specialized rent-own contracts to sign with the owner. But man, here's the thing: don't wait for the house prices to skyrocket before you can actually qualify for a mortgage, and don't end up paying rent forever without ever owning a home. Just go directly to the homeowner, find the homeowner, and negotiate some fair terms and get them to sign a rent-own agreement and move in today and qualify to buy the home at the end of the rent-own term. All right. So that's it for today. Thanks everyone for joining me. If you have any questions, just type them in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you do have. And before I go, once again, if you're really serious about getting into a home today and you just don't qualify for a traditional mortgage, and you want to understand the same strategy that I used for getting 50 homeowners to say yes to a rent-own, then head over to buyfor100down.com and pick up a copy of my book. All right. So thanks again for everybody for joining me. I appreciate it, and have yourself an amazing day. Take care.